So, in the last lecture, we were discussing that though our constitution is federal in structure, we have integrated form of judiciary in India. So, we have integrated form of judiciary in India, and integrated form of judiciary means that the high courts, both the high courts and the Supreme Court can take up the issues with respect to the whole of India, except high courts cannot take up the issues between the center and the states or between state and the state. Otherwise, in all the other matters, they can take up the issues with respect to whole of India, with respect to their states, and Supreme Court can take up the issue with respect to the whole of India, because its jurisdiction extends to the whole of India. So, to provide, so we have integrated form of judiciary, and to provide for independence through judiciary on the basis of doctrine of separation of power. Doctrine of separation of power. We have our judiciary has been given enough independence provision. The constitution has enough provision to provide for independence to judiciary, and because to provide for independence to judiciary, it has been given full autonomy, adequate autonomy by the constitution itself, and it has been given that executives will have no authority in the matters of administration of the judiciary. So, two safeguards have been provided by the constitution: constitutional safeguard to judiciary. Constitutional safeguards. Apart from the appointment, the constitutional safeguard to the judiciary is that apart from the appointment, in all the other matters, for example, administration, and for example, administrative matter, it is the judiciary itself that will deal with all the issues. While in case of to provide for their autonomy, their salaries of the judges, allowances, and their pensions is charged on the consolidated fund of India, so that they will be immune from the executives. So these are the provisions that have been given to them, that they have been given enough. There is enough provision in the constitution to provide for them independence and administrative, you can say, administrative autonomy. So the question was that if a Supreme Court, if a Chief Justice of a High Court, if Chief Justice of a High Court functions as an administrative capacity, then he will what? I told you that when a Chief Justice of a High Court, though he is a Chief Justice of High Court, but when he functions as an administrative capacity, it means he is looking after the matters related to administration of the judiciary, administration of the High Court, he will come under the writ jurisdiction of any other judge of the High Court, because as I told you, the writ jurisdiction of High Court is bigger than the writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, because Supreme Court can issue writs only in the case of violation of fundamental rights, while the High Court can issue writs not only in the case of violation of fundamental rights, they can issue the writs in any matter whatsoever. They can issue writs. So the power of High Court to issue writs is more than the power of Supreme Court to issue writs, and this is the reason that when the Chief Justice of India will function as an administrative capacity, he will come under the writ jurisdiction of any other judge of the High Court, of the concerned High Court. Now let's come to the next question. The next question is, according to the Constitution of India, the term district judge shall not include. So what Which of the following functionaries are not included in the district judge? First is Chief Presidency Magistrate, second Sessions Judge, third Tribunal Judge, and fourth Chief Justice of a Small Cause Court. So the answer to this question will be option C, that is a Tribunal Judge does not come under the definition of district judge, because he is equivalent to a high court judge. So definitely he does not come under the definition of district court under the Constitution of India. So the answer to this question will be Tribunal Judge. Now let's come to the next question. The next question is, which one of the following is part of the Electoral College of the President of India but does not form forum for his impeachment? Options are elected members of the Lok Sabha, elected members of the Rajya Sabha, elected members of the state legislative assemblies, and members of the legislative council of the state. So the correct answer to this question will be option C, that is elected members of the state legislative assembly. To understand this question, let me give you though we have talked about this the manner of election of the president in one of the last questions, one of the previous questions, but let me revise again that in India the constitutional head is the president. President is the constitutional head. President is the constitutional head of the state. Constitutional head of state. Here state means the government. And being the constitutional head, there shall be a president. There shall be a president. And India being a republic, so India being a republic, the constitutional head or head of the state, here state means the union, head of the union shall be elected. So as our preamble itself says that we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into secular, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. So republic, it talks about republic, and republic means the head of the state shall be elected. Whether it may be elected directly or indirectly does not matter. So we have taken indirect form of election to the President of India, the manner of indirect election to the President of India based on Ireland model. So we have taken the indirect form of election to the President of India. So the mode of election to the President of India is indirect, and the system of voting is single transferable vote based on proportional representation system. And here single transferable vote means a plural vote system also based on proportional representation. And there is and president is elected by an electoral college, and the electoral college of the President of India through secret ballot, and president is elected through secret ballot. It is not open ballot, it is secret ballot. So, and he is elected by his electoral college. And who are the members that comprise the electoral college? The electoral college of the President of India. Electoral college of the President of India is comprised of first elected members of both the houses of parliament, Second, elected members of state legislative assemblies, not legislative council, legislative assemblies, and that to elected members. And third, or elected members of union territories having legislature. For example, Delhi and Puducherry have their legislature, so they are elected members. The elected members of the Delhi and Puducherry state legislature shall also be part of the electoral college of the President of India. So, the President elected by the elected members of both the Houses of Parliament, elected members of state legislative assemblies, elected members of the union territories. Now, but if President has to be impeached, how President can be impeached? So, President is impeachment of the President. President is impeached by the way of an impeachment motion in the Parliament. Impeachment motion or resolution, and in the Parliament. And it should be passed by the special majority by both the houses of the Parliament. And here special majority, as I told you, special majority is in different flavors. So here is special majority under Article 61, that is more than 2/3 of the members present in voting the total, more than 2/3 members of the total membership of the House, more than 2/3 membership of the House. So under Article 62, President is impeached under Article 62, and by the way of special majority, a motion is passed by special majority, then he can be impeached, and that in both the houses of Parliament, and that too separately, no joint sitting. And so, if the motion of impeachment of the President is introduced only in the Parliament, it does not go in the state legislature, so there is no question of the member of legislative assemblies participating in the impeachment of the legislative assemblies who were part of its electoral college to be a part of his impeachment motion. So the members of legislative assemblies, elected members of the legislative assembly who were part of the electoral college of the President, they form the electoral college of the President, but they do not form the part of impeachment of the President. While when it is introduced in the Parliament, in Parliament there are 12 nominated members, 12 nominated members in the Rajya Sabha and 2 nominated members in the Lok Sabha. So earlier these nominated members did not form the part of electoral college of the President, while in case of impeachment these nominated members by the President also form the part of electoral college of the President of India. So this is the thing. And so these people, though member of legislative assemblies from the states and from the union territories, especially Delhi and Puducherry, though they form the part of electoral college of the President of India, election of the President, but they did not form the part of electoral college, the part of his impeachment. And President can be impeached on the grounds of violation of the Constitution. Violation of the Constitution. Violation of the Constitution. But the major thing is that there has been nowhere in the Constitution the definition of what constitutes violation of the Constitution. So it is on the whims and fancies of the government, that if government brings up a motion, or if a motion is brought in the Parliament to impeach the President, and it is proved that yes, President has violated the Constitution, and this motion is passed, then President shall stand impeached and removed. So President can be removed by the impeachment process only, and that too on the grounds of violation of the Constitution. But the term violation of the Constitution has nowhere in the Constitution been defined. And this is all about the President that we have to know.